Welfare Center and Pigpen were the first two mystery horror manhwa I ever picked up. And actually, I finished Pigpen way sooner than I finished Welfare Center. It's not that Welfare Center wasn't engaging, it was just that the second half, well, really the last quarter, is much less fulfilling and interesting than the rest. Seonghye wakes up in Purem Welfare Center with no memories of the past 3 months. In her room, she's got 5 additional people. Youngja, a creepy-looking young woman, Youngpa, a middle or high schooler, Boram, an older woman with an ego complex, as well as Hyung and an older woman who are both pretty much silent. Seonghye immediately wants to leave, obviously. This welfare center is obviously not a safe place to be, nor does it care at all about the people inside of it. This is shown beautifully when the women of room 301, Seonghye's room, go for dinner. In sync, they all yell "thank you for the dinner" and begin to scarf it down. Seonghye can't help but notice another prisoner beginning to bash her head in at a different table, and nobody really moves an inch. This is too much for Seonghye to take in on her first day, and she panics, causing her to be sent to solitary. It's unclear what actually happens in solitary, and I love that about this scene. Everything we see is abstract, like it's absolutely breaking her mind, because, well, it is. Welfare Center is a mystery. Things happen, and Seonghye gets strung along as she tries to find a way out of this place, not knowing who is on her side and who would rather give her up for an extra portion at dinner. The only huge development happens when Seonghye remembers that she had a cell phone and catches Youngpa using it. Apparently, during the 3 months Seonghye can't remember, Youngpa found it in her trousers and stole it. Seonghye was too out of it to remember. When Seonghye gets her phone back and scrolls through her missed calls, she gets smacked with a memory of a woman named Leon, her best friend. Leon is a beautiful girl with long blonde hair who is a child prodigy at basically everything. For the next few chapters, we see how Seonghye met Leon and how deep their friendship went. For the next few chapters, we bounce back between Seonghye trying to remember and piece together what happened before she was forcefully taken to this welfare center, as well as her day-to-day life there. A few people die in the welfare center, and we learn that the entire establishment is just a front for organ harvesting. But normally there's some sort of payoff to the mystery, right? Why is Seonghye here, and what does this Leon have to do with everything? That gets answered in the worst way possible. Now, what you shouldn't do in a mystery is have everything happen off camera. The balance of a mystery, anything really, movie, manga, comic, whatever, is to have some of it on camera and some of it off camera. We have to have some hints along the way. That doesn't happen in Welfare Center. It turns out, major spoilers by the way, this manhwa is finished on Webtoon, so you could probably go read it there literally right now if you wanna. It turns out that Leon's childhood friend, I guess, she didn't really like him, but she had to be with him all the time. Leon's childhood friend was so jealous of Seonghye and her relationship that he pulled strings to get Seonghye involuntarily hospitalized. Oh, and Leon actually works at this place as the lead organ harvester. And that's it. That's the reveal, that Leon's friend is behind all of this. And it just so happens that Seonghye doesn't remember getting kidnapped for seemingly no reason. There was no drug used, no reason for her to be practically dead to the world for 3 months. She was just in shock and doesn't remember, I guess. So yeah, the payoff to everything, every single crumb fed to us, doesn't actually pay off to anything. In fact, almost everything that happens in the welfare center in the 3rd quarter of the manhwa doesn't matter one bit, because we're told during the halfway point about Leon, and everything else is just shown to us. There's no hints that happen along the way. Tell me. Right. Section leader An gets murdered, right? Why does that matter whatsoever? The only reason it matters is to put section leader Kim in charge so that Seonghye can take her up on a deal and end up in the basement. This will eventually culminate in her getting trapped in the basement and seeing Leon. But that's not planned, it just happens. But really, that's what Welfare Center is. This happens, so B can happen, so this random thing happens at C, and then the finale D when all of this is happening at the same time, just by coincidence. There's no rhyme or reason or overarching plan to why absolutely anything happens. It just happens because it happens. That's not a mystery manhwa. There's no mystery to uncover there. There's no hints being dropped. The hints that you thought were hints were actually just fake hints to keep you guessing. There is no way you could have guessed anything about the ending of Welfare Center because you didn't know these characters existed and there was no hint to them early on. Let's talk about the ending as well. For some reason, the company was cutting costs in the building's infrastructure, and so at the end of the manhwa, it just randomly collapses. The author Nana tried to make it seem not so random by making things fall off shelves here and there, but that doesn't make sense either because why would something fall off of a shelf? If the infrastructure is bad, the whole shelf would like jiggle or move or slide or something like that, but whatever. Anyway, the building collapses and Seonghye, Leon, and a few people get caught and stuck in the basement. Oh, by the way, everyone in the initial room except Seonghye and Youngja are dead. Even if they seem like redeemable characters, they die anyway for seemingly no reason. Seonghye is extremely angry at Leon after they reunite for her role in the organ harvesting. Youngja becomes a cult leader. Seonghye and a little boy, Hyung's son, escape, and for some reason, Leon had to hold on to rubble she could somehow manage with her arm alone, so she couldn't follow them, and she ends up dying in the wreck. Seonghye and the boy were the only survivors, it seems. When they escape, they run Leon's convenience store somehow, and Seonghye notices an ambulance veer off track with someone inside, and it's heavily implied that the welfare center exists in some form or another and is still taking the most vulnerable members of society for more organ harvesting. Okay, so obviously that ending sucks, right? But let's talk about what narratively the ending does here and why that sucks. So, Leon is a victim. She's incredibly talented and she purposely poisoned her parents as a young child. She was practically adopted by the welfare center and told that they'd only keep subsidizing her living if she did what they told her to do. So she did. Along the way, she likely got a colder attitude towards the corpses and people she had to deal with. After all of this began when she was a literal child. She's seen it for years and years and years, but then she met Seonghye and something switched in her. It's obvious she began to care about human life again because seeing Seonghye in middle school about to take her own life hurt her deeply. Regardless, the idea that Leon is a horrible person is silly, and I really liked the protagonist up until Seonghye started spewing that absolute, nonsense. Like, you know she isn't like that, and she's threatened with legal action and poverty unless she complies with the welfare center, and yet you want to act like she, the one who saved you, is the scum of the earth? And why was it necessary for Leon to die in the first place? If Leon and Seonghye escaped together, Leon is smart and capable enough to figure something out in trying to expose Purem Welfare Center. She knows how it works from the inside. But she gives us the stupid reasoning of, oh, they'll just hunt me down if they know I escaped. Excuse me, are you for real right now? You know how many bodies they're gonna find amongst the rubble? Literally everyone is dead. Not a single person survived unless they were in the basement. You think that the outside forces that dictate what happens in that center are gonna A, know you were in the basement, B, know what you look like, and C, somehow piece together that you must have survived and weren't just completely crushed to death? The reason author made Leon die is because they personally felt like Leon couldn't be redeemed, I guess. Or they wanted to make a tragedy of some kind. But it's not emotional to feel like a tragedy. It feels silly and rushed. By the time Leon dies, you still haven't recovered from the stupidity of the entire welfare center fucking collapsing in the first place. So, what do you all think of Welfare Center? I know I spent the last entire video bashing it, but it's a real shame because I genuinely really liked it up until that point. The tension was done really well, and I didn't know where it was all going. I didn't know other people's motivations. I didn't know whether or not they were going to betray Seonghye. Overall, it was really, really, really good. Again, until that third quarter. That was until I knew it wasn't going anywhere, but regardless, leave me your recommendations in the comments about what I should talk about next. See you!